Okay, cool. We're live on Facebook here. Let me just double check. And while you guys are here, whoever's here, sorry for being late. We had a little technical difficulties. And now I got $1 Million PD ready to rock. We're warmed up. Bring the heat, bring the fire. So, Coach PD, thanks for being here, my man.
Yeah, dude, it's my pleasure. Appreciate you having me.
Yeah, so you saw the topic, everybody. It's $1 million months, right? And the mindset to get there. And I'm gonna ask a bunch of questions. PD, I hope you don't mind. I'm gonna be a little bit invasive on some of these, so feel free to let me know if you can answer them or not. But I want to talk about the mindset it takes, the journey from like maybe feeling like a burnout or things aren't going where I want to go, and then just like being king of the hill, and then thinking like I can dominate and be this category king of this entire industry.
I mean, I'll be honest with you. I haven't even looked at it that way, even with that being the case. But I'm definitely happy to like explore the conversation, man.
Awesome. Okay, cool. So give me a little bit of a background about yourself.
Yeah. So in short, I spent the latter part of basically my adult life doing sales through what actually started out like 1920. I was doing membership and personal training sales at a Gold's Gym locally. And within like a month of being in sales, I actually took over the entire sales department in that program, and was like the head of sales in 5 different gyms within 2 months that particular owner had owned. So immediately I knew that there was like sales was in my repertoire, I guess, of things that just kind of came naturally to me. And then I started focusing my energy on more personal training because I was like, I'm selling all these services for other people, but then they're getting paid on the services. So how about I sell it and serve it so I can make more money? And then I basically did that for, I don't know, 6 or 7 years in my 20s, just either working at different facilities, doing at-home personal training, to a point where I finally opened up my own gym when I turned 30, which is about a little over 4 years ago. Actually just closed my gym September 1st of this year, which was exactly 4 years of it being open, to basically be full on sales now with Will. I took on that sales role with Will about a year and some change ago, simply because I was doing online coaching. I was doing fairly well with online coaching. I was selling really high ticket services. And I felt like the natural progression for me was to help people that were in my position, personal trainers, gym owners, health coaches, nutritionists, understand how to position their offers, how to deliver on their offers, how to ask for more money for their services, because it was stuff that I had been doing for a long time and kind of came naturally to me. And it's really wild, man. Like, just to not go too far off track, but I remember when I started my online coaching business, my actual intention was to help other coaches, right? Because I knew that there was a huge gap in terms of my experience with other trainers, other coaches, what their perspectives were on training itself, but then sales and marketing in general. They just didn't know how to get their own business or how to sell and serve their own business. And I thought there was a lot that I could do for them. But being with the online space, I had no experience online. I had no credibility online other than what I had done with my gym. But who the hell knows what I've done with my gym other than anyone locally, right? So it was like, I got to build up my credibility so that I can start serving these people so they can see there's value there. I actually joined Will's program of June or May of 2019, had a bunch of success, started really coaching inside of the program as I was a client in the program. And Will was like, hey man, I really could use some help in the sales department. I'd really like to take this off my plate. And I was like, well, that's perfect, because that's exactly what I want to do. I don't want to do the service end anymore. I want to do the sales end. And it's crazy, man. We went from doing like $30,000 to $40,000 gross months to September doing 1.36 mil. It was wild. I mean,
that is pretty wild.
it's a
So
crazy
1 million.
how quickly it can go.
Say that again.
It's just crazy to think how quickly you can grow, in business, especially like when you find the right offer with the right messaging, with the right process, and get your clients results. I mean, it went from me being in debt thousands and thousands of dollars to having the freedom to work wherever, whenever. And it is wild, man. 12 months can go a long way in life.
Yeah, I mean, that's just a pivotal moment, how quickly things can turn around and how quickly in this economy with like social media and Google and YouTube and how easily you can connect with your ideal target audience, which kind of leads me into like this group right here is a bunch of like digital marketers. And the reason I like your story and Will's story to be in this group constantly is because I think it's very similar of what you sell and how these guys sell to our audience as well. I think there's like a very big similarity. Now, take me through like how did you go from like local, not too many people knew who you were outside of your local area to like what were the steps? Like, how did you get your name out there? How did you get your message out there? What are some tips that you can share?
You know what? I think for me, man, I still live inside my own bubble. So I don't know. I don't pay attention to who knows me or if I'm known or if people are aware of what I'm doing. So it's like, I guess that's something that I don't really think about too much. But I will say this, one of my strategies in terms of when I was entering the online space was how can I get in front of people who have influence and provide them what I do at a high level without asking for anything in return. And that kind of catapulted me. I worked with a couple different entrepreneurs. I offered my services to them for free. I created some really like life-changing mindset and daily habit and structure for them. And I didn't ask for anything. And the reason why I did that is I just wanted to get exposure. I wanted more people to see what I could do. And what I realized with the online coaching thing in terms of health and fitness, I knew that that wasn't the thing that I was going to be doing long term. It was just what I needed to do to prove what I can do so that I can move on to the next step of what I wanted to do. Um, I mean, and it really is just aligning yourself with the right people. Me aligning myself with people who had a lot of influence, and then aligning myself with Will, who had already had a lot of credibility in the space, but just needed some support in terms of how to scale and grow his business, and allowing myself to just be in my zone of what I would consider, you know, a lot of people want to say zone of genius, but it's like what comes easy and natural to me that I really enjoy doing, that I really do well, and just doing that. And I think a lot of people want to do everything and feel like they need to be entrepreneurs or they need to be the business owner. But what I found is that it's way less stressful for me um, aligning myself with other people who want to do the things in the business that I don't want to do, so that I can do the things in the business that I enjoy doing, that I prefer to do and I do the best. You know what I mean? And if that's any piece of advice I could give you guys is like instead of spreading yourself thin trying to do everything, figure out a way to align yourself with people who want to do the things that you don't want to do so that you can do what you do well. Whether that's you're as a business owner hiring people and delegating responsibility, or you coming into a business and doing what it is that you do best so that you can focus on that primarily. I'd say if I didn't do that, I wouldn't be on this interview with you today for sure.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you did. So we're on this interview now. But no, to echo what you mentioned, I think a lot of it comes down to having clarity on what it is somebody wants to do, anyways. Because I think, like, when you're early on in a business, it's very easy to say, just kind of like whatever the client says, you do, like people pleasing. Can you do this? Can you do that? Can you do this? And then you do it, but then you have one client and then they're going to leave you anyways. So I think it's just a matter of like being really, really clear and focused on like saying no to people too. Um,
Yeah, that's
and
part
that,
of the sales process too, man. It's not making an offer to every single person you get on a call with. Having some standards in terms of how you qualify who you want to work with. And that really does come down to clarity for sure.
yeah, because from a sales perspective, like I mean, I've grown up from a sales floor, like or not grown up, but like I started doing sales on a sales floor where it was quote unquote like more like a boiler room, if you will, just a big group of people hammering phone calls. And our job was mentally saying, hey, you have to hit a quota. So with that mentality, you're thinking, well, everybody has to buy something. But yeah, now ever since I started my own agency, it's just like a matter of like who do like you have to look at it as like who do you want to work with, that when you said alignment aligns with your future of your business.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to get people that like you're just gonna have a shit conversation with a lot of people where you're just like, hey, you close them, then they're a nightmare client, they're underpaying you, you can't like offer them additional services because they hate you and you hate them secretly. and then and then ultimately you spend 80% of your time on 20% of like the nightmares. You know what I mean?
Oh, 100%. And I mean, that comes down to having a really clear understanding of what problems you want to solve for your market, right? Because I know a lot of people are like, oh, well, you should offer a low ticket and you should offer this and that. I'm like, no, I know who we want to work with. And we're very fortunate to have an incredible community of coaches that we work with. Like, it's just, we're super proud and grateful to have the people that do work under us or work with us in our program. Because quite honestly, like, we attracted those people by showing up the way that we want our clients to show up. And I think there's just so many layers to this, right? Whether it's who you're attracting with the clarity that you have of what problems, but also understanding like you want your clients to show up in a certain way, and it requires you to show up that way as well, right?
Totally, 100%. Now, I mean, going into, I think what people want to hear is like, how do you get in front of people? Like, is it like, so you as the salesperson? I know that some of these guys or some of the girls that are going to be watching this, they're responsible for 100% of everything. So they're going to have a lot of responsibilities initially until they get to that clarity and that momentum and alignment with other people. But for you personally, how is it that you get people to get on phone calls with you? Because you guys are primarily organic lead generation, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's it. That's only organic. So we have setters in place. My dog is losing her mind right now, so I'm gonna put some headphones in. So yeah, everything is organic. We use a free Facebook group. We use Will's profile. Hang on one sec.
Mhm. What's up, dog? What's up, Antoine? We got Will in the house. Oh, look at Will, man. Hey, Will, can you transcribe this
Here?
for us?
Yeah.
I see a comment. Like, I'm not good at looking at the comments while I'm live, but I
Yeah,
see.
I try to stay focused because
Yeah,
I'm like a little squirrel.
yeah.
So how we get in front of people. So we have, at this point, I think we have like 3 or 4 setters in place, which are basically leveraging Will's content, whether it's on his personal profile, whether it's content we do inside of our free Facebook group. And we try to start conversations, try to engage with people, try to provide them solutions to things they might be struggling with. And a lot of how we, kind of curate that content is through the sales process itself, right? In the sales process, we get to learn a lot about who our audience is, what problems they're having, what objections we're facing, what issues they're having in terms of lack of clarity for what they want to achieve. And then we can literally take that feedback and create content around it, which then can stimulate that opportunity to have real conversations. So organic lead generation generally provides you far more quality prospects. It may not be at the volume in which paid advertising is, but I think in September we had less than 40 calls, 40 booked calls, and that converted into almost, I think, $30,000 per call that we
Wow.
had. So,
Okay.
and realistically, like when you're playing the quality game versus the quantity game, it makes the ads way more powerful. So we are now starting to dabble a little bit more in ads, but it's not what's actually providing us opportunities. It's really just like easy engagement posts, call to action posts, Facebook group. Like we just started a weekly call that me and Will are going to be doing where we can actually engage with our audience and give them feedback. So it's all these opportunities to really just get to know your audience better, ask them questions, story posts, and give them opportunities to raise their hands so that we can have conversations with them to better understand their issues. And if it makes sense for them to get on a call with me, that's when they'll get on a call. But we've got quite the qualification process in place so that we're not spending a whole lot of time with leads that aren't really going to be buyers.
Right. So basically, you've got the setters trained to be able to ask the right questions about, like, is this even worthwhile to get on a call in a better sequence of questions, right?
Yeah, 100%. And it's all relative, right? Because everyone's in their own different place in their journey in this process. And so we have a couple different offers that we can leverage, and it really just boils down to understanding where they are in their process. Are they trying to create an acquisition system, or are they trying to scale out of being the worker in the system and start working on it, right? And so we have offers that meet them in both places. It's just a matter of where they are and what they want to achieve. And then if we can understand what that is, then we can kind of qualify them down into understanding, are they in a position to buy, invest today? And then that would be a time where we get on a call with them. And that way it just preserves the salesperson's energy, because I know as much as the sales mindset is get on a bunch of calls, hammer calls, be willing to hear no, be willing to hear this. You also have to have your psychology in a really strong place to be consistent. And when you get a bunch of no's and a bunch of tire kickers, I don't care who you are. your energy is going to be zapped and you're not going to want to take a bunch of calls. So preserving your energy as a salesperson, and that's the most pivotal thing, I think, to have consistency long term.
Right. So what do you think the difference is, or can you walk me through what your mindset changed from like January 2020 to as you started getting into like, fuck, this thing is actually like, we got something really special here. And what does that look like?
You know, it's wild because in January of 2020, we had our biggest month to date and we were riding a really big high. Everything was, I mean, like I thought we were probably going to be where we are today, maybe in like a year from that point, if our growth trajectory would keep up. And then we went through a 2-month cycle of Will's account being shut down, his ads being shut down, his personal profile being shut down. So like all of our lead generation sources were basically cut off. And then our free Facebook group at the time was pretty much dead. I mean, it was like 1,100 people that nobody was engaging and they were all tire kickers. And then coronavirus hit. And I think coronavirus on multiple levels was a really, really beneficial thing for our business. Obviously, I'm not happy about what it's doing to people in general, but it gave us an opportunity to really reflect on what was going on in our business and how we could sustain it and grow it, right? So number one, we were getting on a lot of calls with a bunch of people that were concerned about what the future looked like because they didn't know, you know, in terms of like, are they going to be able to work inside of a gym? Are they going to be able to keep their clients? Are they going to be able to do it? When are they going to be able to do in-person training again? So it brought all these new buyers to the marketplace that weren't really prepared to go online yet. And that facilitated us having a lot of people who were like, hey, what is online coaching, right? Like, how are all these people doing high ticket? They didn't even understand. And I kept getting on these calls. I swear I got on like 8 or 9 calls in a row of people that were just not ready to buy, had no interest in even investing. It was more like, how do we figure out what this is? And that triggered in my head, like, I can't keep getting on calls like this. We need to get ahead of this curve before we get trounced by all these people who have no idea what it is that we do. And I think that was the turning point in terms of our Facebook group. We started making content. I was like, Will, listen, we need content that serves these problems, these objections, so that I don't have to keep dealing with educating the market on a sales call versus understanding what they're going through to serve them with what they need, right? And so we started creating educational trainings in our free Facebook group of teaching people, like, based on the objections they were having, what things they need to understand before they get on a call. And through this, really started to create our own system of acquisition, because every time we had a prospect come through our pipeline, we were driving them through the trainings. And so instead of us having to answer a million questions over and over, we're driving them through the trainings as basically like our VSL or our webinar, but they were broken down into different things, right? And that provided me far more opportunities in terms of clear prospects ready to get started. And that really got us going. I think in April we did like, I don't know, 250,000. In May it went down a little bit, I think to like 180. June it grew a little bit more. And then all of a sudden in July it popped. And I think it was really just a matter of us having trainings and clarity of a deep understanding of what our prospects were going through, to a point where we automated this whole process. Even though it was organic, it was completely automated, so that every time we were having conversations, we were like, watch this, watch this, watch this. Okay, are you cool with all those things? Here's the call opportunity. And it really just compounded like our confidence in how to create a more clear prospect that's ready to actually purchase, versus just getting on calls with people and trying to convince them. And that was a huge mindset shift for us. Like, once we saw that work, we just doubled down on it over and over and over and over, kept making more trainings, kept adding more people to the group, kept providing more value. And I mean, I think it all just came to a head at some point. I mean, all of that to be said, our clients are getting amazing results. Our clients are selling or making more money than I think any other Fit Pro business that is in existence right now, quite honestly. I can say that with a lot of confidence. And I think having the ability to share their results, and then what I was talking about before, really all led to the point of us doing over $1 million in September. It was just compounding, man, more than anything else.
I see your guys' client results, and it speaks volumes for your systems and your process, because I see all these PIFIs and I'm looking at it like, wow, somebody closed 3,600 paid in full. And it's just amazing to see that these trainers probably would have been charging per session, per week, or even worse, not even getting paid at all because they don't even have a system in place to even get paid.
Yeah.
Or because I talk to trainers from time to time, you've met one before, and I'll see her like she'll be like, "Oh, I got a client for 1,000 a month," and I'm like, "Well, did you get paid 1,000 yet?" Because that's the reality of how things work. So sometimes people are not good at getting paid. That just means they're not good at setting expectations. They have no packages. They have no concise plan to steer the ship of their own business.
Yeah, I mean, honestly though, like I can relate, 3 or 4 years
Mm-hmm.
ago as going into business as a personal trainer, I knew how to train people really well. That was my expertise. I knew how to help people move better. I knew how to help them think better,
Mm-hmm.
but I didn't know how to position my offers or with my process in a way that I could make a ton of money doing it. Because personal trainers and coaches aren't necessarily all business people, to be fair, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they've got to learn business, whether that's marketing, sales, fulfillment, delivery, systems, processes. Like they need to learn these things. And the beauty of what we're doing is we can simplify it so much so that people can come into our program and immediately implement these things without having to spend money on ads or funnels, and literally can just grow a free Facebook group, create a community, add value, and provide their services for a high ticket, and people are happy to pay.
Mm-hmm. Right. No, that's totally cool. No, so take me through the journey of like, so Will posts a lot of stuff on his Facebook personal profile, and then you guys also supplement that with group training. So when you bring people in, is there a process? So it's like, let's say 20 people jump in like while we're live right now into the group. Is there a process that you guys implement where it's like, all right, we have 20 new members. How do we make them feel like they're in a home? They're in a family. So do
Yep.
you take them through and say, hey, let me direct message you and saying, hey, welcome to the group, tag you in a bunch of units? How does that work to warm
Yeah,
them up?
yeah. So that's where our setters come in, and they'll do like I think we have almost 3 weekly introduction posts, which is
Mm,
basically introducing our new the new members into the free Facebook group, allowing for them to share a little bit about themselves, and then affording them opportunities to reach out and just really share with them some value, some training, some things that could provide them support in terms of where they are. And so our outreach is technically with our setters going through people that are joining our free Facebook group and asking for support. So that's the extent in which we do cold outreach, if anything.
mhm.
But yeah, that's exactly pretty much it, is warming them up, giving them an opportunity to be a part of the community, help them feel like they get some support and some direction and some clarity. And if it makes sense to have a conversation with me, then we afford them that. But it always starts with giving them a bunch of value up front based on what it is that they feel like they need, and then seeing if that is creating the clarity necessary for them to feel like this makes sense to move forward with.
Right. So, like, all you guys out there, like, a lot of people are probably jumping in and seeing, like, oh, this organic game is all about a two-step: post something, don't give it to them, communicate with them, try to get on a 15 or 30-minute call. 45 minutes later, you're not a good fit. And then you realize that deep in the call. This
Yeah.
process, while it is a little bit more, let's say, a little more organic, or in the sense that you're not trying to like basically bang somebody on the first date, really, the one night stand, if you will. I was trying
Yeah.
to say something more eloquent than that.
Yeah. Right.
But it's a dating model. It's like saying, hey, how can I support you? Nice to meet you. It's
We
like
like to
buying. Yeah,
it's romance. It's
yeah.
we
Exactly.
like to romanticize. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
exactly right.
Okay,
But
so
I
now
mean,
that you
yeah.
go ahead.
I was just gonna say that just creates more trust, man. At the end of the day, and we've got a marketplace full of coaches,
Hmm.
mentors, gurus, business mindset coaches. I don't know, whatever you want to call them. It's just such a low barrier of entry that what we want to do is just create an opportunity for them to trust that what we're doing is working. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? And who we are is authentic versus everyone else on the internet trying to sell you something.
No, for sure. That authenticity like makes people thank you at the end of the call versus the buyer's remorse, where it's like, fuck, what did I just do? I felt like I was kind of like pushed
Yeah,
into something.
yeah, it is. I mean, it's. I don't want to use the word inception, but you want it to be their idea.
Hmm.
There,
Yeah,
it's far more powerful when it's someone else's idea versus your own.
Like, why do you think that people are just scared to spend money, like on themselves and say, I mean, what is like the background psychology of what you think that is? Because there's so many people that are hurting right now that just don't invest into themselves. So what's that like? How do you take them out of that scarcity mindset so they feel good about it?
I think it's a couple things. One thing that you mentioned earlier. Oftentimes people misassociate what the real problem is, right? So let's say, for example, somebody's problem they think is lead generation. They want to create more leads. So what's the point of why they want to do that? So that they can make more money, so that they can have more time, so that they can have more freedom. So they think their problem is lead generation. But in reality, their real problem is that they're lacking systems, they're lacking processes, they're lacking an alignment with what they want to actually accomplish. Like, here's my vision, if they even have one, but here's what I'm doing, and how does this align with what I actually want? Oftentimes, that's really what's missing, is that alignment. And for me, my intention on every call is to be able to diagnose what it is specifically that's missing, or what's out of alignment with what it is that they want versus what it is that they're doing. And if I can create that bridge on for that gap, it makes it far easier so that they can feel more confident to take the steps forward. Versus the reason why they don't make decisions is typically because they're unclear or uncertain that what you have to offer is going to help them, or they're not willing to do the work. So if you're selling a process in terms of like, these are all the things you're going to have to do, and they don't actually want to do any of those things, they're probably not going to want to spend the money. And or if they feel like you're trying to convince them of something versus helping them get clear on something as to what the real problem is, they're far more likely to have the certainty that you can help them on the latter versus the former, right? So I think it's a combination of those two things, whether they think that you can actually help and whether they're willing to do the work. And those two things have to be made abundantly clear on the call, which is why I like to tie them down on a process, which is I want to make sure that they actually want to do what we have to offer on a daily basis before I even make them an offer, right? I want to know for sure if they actually feel like that we can help them before they jump into the program, because that's where buyer's remorse kicks in. So realistically, why people aren't making decisions to invest is a lack of clarity and a lack of certainty, right? And our job, if we're doing this with the right intention, is to help them get clear and then help them get certain that they're willing to do it and that they think that we can help, so that we can just take the next step forward versus like, here's the million things that you have to do. Let's just focus on this one step. Let's get clear on this one thing. And so we can build on that. And I think that's missing in a lot of coaching programs, honestly. It's like, here's all these videos, here's all these trainings, here's all the stuff you have to do versus here's what you need to do with where you're at in your journey, in your process. So let's build on this step. You know what I mean? And when we can identify and diagnose what that one thing is, they're going to be far more clear on how to solve that problem, because they're not so distracted with the million possibilities of the things that could be wrong in their business. Does that make sense?
100%. Yeah. And it comes down to a key word, which is like focus. And I was just reading some motivational quotes last night, and I came across like on those Instagram pages where it's all motivation. And it talked about like Bill Gates's mother asked them, what's the number one thing that made you guys very successful between Bill Gates and Warren Buffett? And it came down to one word: focus. And then also focus leads to get focused, you have to have really good habits. To have really good habits, you have to have a really clear vision. So
Yep.
I'm glad you touched on that. So what, like going into what your team size looks like, what is the team size that you guys are operating? So you guys are bringing in like a multi-million-dollar company in a month.
So I am doing all the sales.
Yep.
Currently, we have 3 setters. I think we're adding another one in place.
Hmm.
We've generally had 2 setters, but we're adding on now. We have an operations guy. We have a success specialist inside of our OTA program as well. And then we also have a content coach who comes in and supports our clients with delivering content and kind of helping them model their content in a way that can actually convert into clients. We also have a mindset coach inside of our program, but he is more specifically like somebody that we bring in to support our clients once a week versus who's actually on staff supporting on a daily basis. So I believe we have 8 of us, including myself and Will.
So you guys have a lean team running a great operation. So that's incredible to have, like, saying, hey, what, like, you have your, when you guys are building out the team, you have saying like, all right, we need a strength here. Who's strong in that category and who's
Mhm.
willing to show up. So that's pretty awesome. Like, how do you guys find and source people? Is it through your network or a service?
Well, so our coaches that we brought on, our success specialists, are from within our program. They were clients inside the program. Um, our setters, I think, our setter, one of our setters was in our program as well. The other one we actually found through Eli Wild,
Mhm.
and I believe the newest one we brought on also was training under Eli as well. So shout out to Eli for bringing us, training up some good salespeople and some setters. Our content coach was a referral from a personal, I guess, a friend of ours as well. And yeah, the same with the mindset coach. So it's really within our own network. Everything is just being sourced within our own network, um, and just leveraging the people that are in alignment with what we want to do. Like we would prefer to work from within, meaning like people that are inside of our program and help curate them to a point where, hey, they want to help our business and they actually align with what we do at a really high level. That way, it's not like trying to onboard people into an environment who don't have an understanding of our culture.
Yeah, no, that's cool. Cause like one of the things somebody told me a long, long time ago is like, whatever position you're looking for, look in this little device because you already have it. You just have to think, write down three names, call all three in order of importance, make an offer, and see what they say back. Give them a week to make a decision. And then that got echoed because one of my friends went to a Gary V dinner and that was the same thing. It's like, hey, I need to hire a COO. Well, chances are in your contacts, you have three good candidates. Call them because they probably are hurting in their position and they want this call.
Yeah. I mean, we all pretty much have pretty large networks in this online business we
Yeah.
call, I guess, an industry. There's a lot of contacts out there. You just have to know who to talk to, who to ask, and be willing to make offers to people.
No, totally. So what are some sales success tips that you have, like, for anybody? I know you kind of dropped a lot of good knowledge and wisdom along this live here so far, but let me give you a scenario. I'm a solopreneur. I'm selling even fitness, or marketing, whatever scenario is easiest for you, but just general tips saying like, what do you tell somebody to focus on first so they can go get clients?
Yeah. I mean, the number one thing that any entrepreneur, salesperson, fitness professional wants to be focused on is the actual problem at hand that they want to solve. Because if you're unclear of the problem, your content is going to miss the mark and you're not actually going to be attracting the people that you want to work with. So your sales process is going to be incredibly difficult, if not having any options at all. So essentially, the first thing I would focus on is getting really, really clear on doing some market research and understanding what are the real problem areas of the niche that you want to serve. Like, for example, our niche is fitness professionals, gym owners, health coaches, nutritionists, right? Their problem in their mind, like I mentioned before, is more leads, more money, more time, more freedom. But in reality, we have to figure out what it is that they're doing in terms of their systems that's not giving them the amount of leads that they want. So generally, they're doing a lot of cold DMs, which they don't align with. They're having to put a lot of money into ads, which they don't really have any money for, and it's not actually converting. They're having to build out webinars or funnels or websites, which aren't actually bringing them any money. They're having to do free challenges to be able to attract people to them cheaply, but those people actually don't retain into life, into long-term clients, and they're not actually willing to pay a whole bunch of money. So like all of those compounding issues create poor lead generation, right? And so when we can identify what those real problems are, we can actually attack those problems with real-time solutions. And sales is the easiest when you are absolutely certain of the problem you're solving and have a solution that you're 100% can solve it, because your certainty will outweigh any script that you'll ever have. Period. End of story. If somebody can rest assured that the person that they're talking to is 100% certain and convicted of the solution that they have towards a problem that you're facing, that's the easiest sale you'll ever make. And that always starts with having a clear understanding of what problems you're actually solving versus who you're trying to help. Because I think a common, I'm just going to give a little nugget here to all of you. The common mistake made in this industry is to find an avatar versus a problem set. Because an avatar is a type of person, a problem set can be anyone can have these problems. And if anyone has these problems, it opens up your range of being able to serve more people, because you're not assuming what people have, what problems. You're basing your service on a problem, and whoever fits inside of that you can serve. And it's reverse engineering that. So if you can get clear on this problem set and understand that the actual real problems that are taking place, not the ones that your prospects are telling you, you can start creating content that's actually compelling, that's going to convert into clients. You're going to have a sales process that's smooth and easy, and you're going to feel like you're just driving them through a solution on their own terms versus convincing them. And then the actual fulfillment and delivery becomes effortless, because you're solving problems that you're clear on up front, and the expectations are clear in the sales process. So if anything, start at the root and get clear on the problem you want to solve.
Yeah, I love that. And a quick little exercise for you guys. Like I would just kind of, if you want to get more clients and more clear on yourself, I would just kind of have 2 columns and just say problem, solution, and then kind of just write down a presentation on how you can solve those, and then go to a group of your type of clientele that you want to serve, and start communicating with them in other groups. Like PD said, do something for free, like feel them out for free, and solve something small that you can facilitate. And maybe they'll give you a recommendation, like in terms of a online testimonial or a video, but also they may just say, hey, let's do more of that. And then you have a potential client. And sometimes you can ask for that business, saying, hey, would you like to like kind of work together a little bit more? Maybe we can solve bigger problems, make some bigger money together. And we can see how that relationship can kind of look like.
And even more valuable than that, the market
Mhm.
research you get. I
Mhm.
mean, if people started looking at their opportunities to serve or their opportunities to sell as an opportunity to do market research, that mindset itself will bring you exponentially more money, because you're not looking at somebody as another number. You're looking at them as an opportunity to gather information that now you can leverage to create more opportunities to make more money.
What's been the most important thing for you on this journey from January to now? I know, like, let me actually rephrase that. What's the most important resource or person that's helped you get here? Like the setters, the a training. What do you kind of like? Do you understand what I'm asking here?
Yeah, it's actually
Okay.
really very straightforward. Just
Hmm.
the open relationship that Will and I have in terms of communication.
Hmm.
I think there's a lot of people who may not have been able to put up with how direct I am, but that's also what makes me really successful in sales, is I'm very direct with people. And I think Will is able to put his ego aside and can listen and take and implement feedback that I give him, and rapidly put it into place. Like Will is more of the implementer, as much as like I'll have a vision for something, but he can implement like a madman. And that's kind of where I lack, is my willingness maybe to implement at the speed in which he does. But like, I think our communication, having that ability to have like direct communication, and there is no ego involved, there is no like resistance that happens. We can just take the information and be able to process it together and figure out like what makes the most sense to be able to take what decisions or what steps forward. And that is so powerful. I know that's probably lacking in a lot of business relationships or business partnerships. And I think that's what's setting us apart in terms of how easy business comes to us. And I don't mean that like we're making a lot of money easily. I mean like business can be absorbed easily through us, meaning that like we can handle the day-to-day smoothly because there's no friction between us. And that makes doing business a lot easier.
Yeah, I mean, I see Will every day. I'm like, I wake up and I'm like, damn, Will's like 6 minutes ago was live. I'm like, I gotta wake up every time I wake up a little bit earlier. It's like Will was live, so he's the Gary V of fitness posting.
Hey man, implementing with speed is
Hmm.
you can't replace it.
Oh yeah, I see him posting while he's running or right after a jog or something.
Beat his chest.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Well, any words of wisdom you want to kind of drop for this group?
Yeah, I mean, I think something that I brought up at the very beginning. I don't know where you guys are in your journey with your process, but I can tell you this. Um, when you're doing a lot of things that don't align with what you want to do or how you want to do business or live your life, I think you got to take a step back and truly recognize, like, how do I want my life to look? and then build my business around that. There's a lot of entrepreneurs that are like, I want to make X amount of dollars, and I'm going to do whatever it takes every day to do that, regardless of how it impacts the quality of my actual life. And I think the big takeaway here is just building your business around the life that you want versus building your life around the business that makes you money. And if you can get into doing things in your business or on your business that are things that you actually enjoy doing, it becomes a lifestyle, and it becomes so easy to do every day versus like, oh, I got to get up and do this, or like dreading the fact of having to get to work. And like, I haven't dreaded work in a long fucking time, and that is truly remarkable, honestly. And I'm very, very grateful for that. So whether it's finding a lane that you really, really are a zone of genius in, and finding a way to align with other people who can take care of the other areas of it, or if you are an entrepreneur and building out your business, making sure that you're putting your lifestyle first, and then you're building your business model around what that life needs to look like, so that you're not burned out every day or stressed out about what you have to do, versus you get to show up with enthusiasm and excitement every day, so that you're actually attracting the people you want to work with and are happy working with those people that you have.
Boom. I love it. Well, to end this, we need to, I owe you an animated GIF, right? So we got to have some GIF worthy moment really quick. So I'm going to let you pick. Do we do a little dab? Do we do raise the roof? What's going on here?
I got, hold on a second.
Yeah.
Wait a second. You sit down here. Wait.
And everybody who's out there, thanks for being on. I know I didn't have you guys participate too much. Oh, look at this little baby. But drop your biggest takeaway, guys, in the comments here, and hashtag PD, and drop some hearts, some emojis. And thank you guys for spending your Sunday with us before we have some big football games going on. But let's go.
I want to do a GIF that's for people who ghost me in Messenger. It's just going to be a like this. You ready?
Right. Yep. You do yours. I'll get my designer to make it for you. Keep going.
That's right. Look at the biceps on her though, bro. Jesus Christ.
I love it. The puppy made the show. All right, now we need our gift. So we're gonna do a little dab.
All right, I hear you.
It's gonna be on 3. Just hold the dab at the end.
Okay, sounds good, bro.
All right, 1, 2, 3. All right, we gotta do our timing a little bit better. Like the three means to have, right? Not the 5, not a countdown of 2. All right, so 1, 2, 3. Okay. All right, so let's start over. 1, 2, 3. Awesome, man. Hey, PD, dude, awesome. Thank you for spending the time here, dropping some knowledge in the group. I'm sure everybody's going to see a lot of value in this. And it's amazing to see where you came from, just hanging out with you in January in San Diego, to your September, your November, your October, and just wish you all the best success and getting to those maybe a multi-million-dollar days too.
That's the goal, man. That's the goal. I appreciate you though, bro.
All right, brother. Yep. Awesome. Well, have a great rest of your Sunday.
You too, bro.